Welcome to Sang Hill Farms, McHenry, Maryland. Located 1.5 miles west of Deep Creek Lake on Sang Run Road, this land has been home to the Siebold family since 1877. Great-grandfather Andrew was the first Siebold to own this land known historically as Crabtree Bottom. Grandfather Joseph was the second generation to farm this land, and he also used his team of draft horses to help build the Deep Creek Dam. Paul, Larry's dad, was the third Siebold to manage the farm. He was a full-time dairyman. In 1982, Paul handed the reins to Larry, and the fourth generation of Siebold farm management began. Larry is a full-time dairyman with a herd of 57 Holsteins. The 184-acre farm has 80 acres in crop rotation, about 40 acres pasture, and the remainder in woods. Larry also rents about 140 acres of cropland on 4 neighboring properties. The most obvious soil conservation practice on Sang Hill Farms is strip cropping. Larry credits his dad with getting the concept of stripping started on their land. All of the cropland is tilled in strips, including the rented fields. On this rented property, a combination of field stripping and contouring was combined to maintain relatively even width strips. I like strip cropping, says Larry, because it's easier on equipment. The fields don't wash, and my neighbors can see that I'm taking care of the land. The basic rotation that is used on most of the cropland is 2 to 3 years of corn, 1 year of small grain, and 3 to 5 years of hay. This year, Larry decided to try a few acres of no-till sunflowers. He plans to harvest, clean, and bag the seed and retail it as bird food. The variety of tillage used on Sang Hill Farms adds diversity and flexibility to managing for good yields while controlling weeds and runoff. Larry uses a combination of chisel, moldboard, and no-till. He bases his tillage in each field on soil conditions, weed problems, and the amount of time available to get the job done. Chiseling is a fast and easy way to till, and the chisel grooves do a great job of controlling runoff. Each year, about 50% of the corn is no-till. On this rented acreage, Larry is no-tilling corn in last year's crop residue. He is actually using 3 conservation practices in this field to control runoff and conserve plant nutrients: strip cropping, crop residue use, and no-till. Another practice that has been used by the Siebold's to conserve soil and nutrients is cover cropping. Although it is difficult to get a good cover in Garrett County before the snow flies, Larry makes a special effort to seed rye on some of the crop acreage. In the past, he has used a rented no-till drill to get his rye cover crop in. In 1987, Larry decided to make a change in the way he was handling manure. Some of his equipment needed replacing, everyday hauling had its disadvantages, and development pressure on neighboring property were some of the reasons he decided to install a manure storage structure. Manure is stored for up to 6 months. Unloading in the spring is accomplished by agitating, pumping, and spreading when the fields are firm just prior to plowing. Let's see how close we can get to this spreader. Look out! Oh, Larry, look what you did to my new boots. Larry says he likes storing and pumping better than daily hauling, and the spreading is more uniform over the fields. Now, if I can just get this stuff plowed under in the next 48 hours, I can save some money on nitrogen fertilizer. In 1992, the Siebold's began utilizing the Nitrogen Quick test in addition to their regular soil testing. The test showed that cornfields, where manure was applied and plowed under, had adequate available nitrogen for good yields. Fertilizer had been applied at planting and supplied about 95 pounds of nitrogen per acre. The testing also showed that the fields, where manure was not applied, needed about 50 pounds of additional N. Adjacent to the new manure storage structure is an area that the dairy herd uses to get to pasture and a watering trough. The trough is one of 3 installed on the farm and is fed by a continuous flowing spring next to the farmstead. The herd had to cross a small stream and wet area. Larry decided he wanted the cattle out of the mud. He said he was tired of problems with their feet because of the mud, and he didn't want to see any more soil washing downstream to the neighbor's pond. The cattle were routed around the muddy area and fenced out of the wet area and stream, except for where they crossed to get to the trough. Then a culvert crossing was installed so the cows could get to the trough without being in the stream. Sang Hill Farms, like most Garrett County farms, has several acres of woods. Often referred to as farm woodlots, these units of land, when managed, have the potential to increase in the production of wood products and wildlife habitat. Many landowners are not fully aware of what options they have for managing their woodland. Larry has taken the first step towards woodland management by getting a forester's view of what is in his woods. The Garrett Soil Conservation District appreciated landowners taking time to help promote wise and reasonable land use. Larry helped the district with the woodland display that was used at the annual Loggers Field Day held at the Garrett County Fairgrounds. He also hosted the 1992 Region 1 FFA Land Judging Contest and a tour for the secretaries from the local conservation offices. Although there has already been several conservation practices installed, Sang Hill Farms manager is always looking for any practice that will benefit the farming operation and at the same time protect the soil and water resources. A practice that is being planned for 1993 is a basic pasture rotation system. The existing pasture area is large enough to support continuous grazing by the dairy herd. However, Larry is considering a 3-unit rotational system that will improve the quality of forage and increase the pasture yield. The Garrett Soil Conservation District salutes Larry Seabold and family for their conservation accomplishments and wise land use attitude. This farm has provided a livelihood for 4 generations of Seabolds, and because of the attitude and efforts of its present manager, this land will be productive for the 5th generation and beyond.